Awesome. Welcome everyone to our session today. Excited to chat with Jay and Aaron. We'll just give it a few minutes to let people join. And we'll make sure our technology stuff's working. So I got it up on another screen.
I see it working. A little delay, but we're good.
Okay. Let people join. Okay. And then my concern is audio because I have it muted on my side, but hopefully it's just muting it for me and not for the audience. Can you hear it if you're joining it, Jay or Aaron?
I can't. See.
Welcome everyone. If you can hear us, give us a thumbs up. If not, I just got to change a setting, I think.
I can hear
Okay.
it.
Great.
All right.
Beautifully.
Hey, Courtney.
Thank you, Scott and Courtney. Hello.
Haley's here. Hello, Haley.
All right. First LinkedIn Live. I think, fingers crossed, I don't want to jinx it, but it looks like we're in a good spot.
Hopefully. A whole minute to go.
I think we'll start in a minute or two just to allow people to join. We just wanted to join a couple minutes early just to make sure everything was set up properly and good to go. I feel like I'm in the command center right now. I have 3 screens up. One with the LinkedIn Live where you can see all the comments, one with us, all things. So it's, yeah, I feel like command central.
Watching yourself on delay is a little surreal and troubling, but I'll pull it together.
Yeah, I have to keep that hidden somewhere else. Yeah. Okay. 1 o'clock. I think we'll give it literally 1 more minute, and then we'll get going. That sound good, Jay and Aaron?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right, let's kick it off. Welcome everyone. Really excited to talk the future of AI and automation with industry experts like Aaron and Jay. So I think to kick things off, we're just going to kind of do a round of introductions. That sound good? Jay, you want to start?
Sure. So my name is Jay Cutler. For those of you who don't know me, I'm one of the co-founders here at Staffing Engine, along with Ted Guggenheim, Andrew Kimmel, and Mike Hickman, who are the co-founders of TextUs, or now Bullhorn Messaging as well. A lot of you guys might be using that. I've been in the industry for just over 12 years now. I actually started as a recruiter at Randstad Technologies and at Signature before moving over to Bullhorn, where I met Aaron and Billy in the Hairfish days and Matt Dichter as well. And then started Staffing Engine about 2.5 years ago. So been on both sides of the industry here and look forward to chatting with everybody today.
I'm Erin Pittman. I'm a product advisor at Staffing Engine and at Leap Consulting. Not unlike Jay, part of the reason that we get along so well, we both started out as recruiters and kind of came up through the industry and then realized that we could actually work on making a product to help solve all of the problems that we were frustrated by when we were recruiters. And so did that for a long time and now here doing some consulting work with Staffing Engine and Leap.
And you'll notice a similar theme because I also got my start in staffing at a recruiting desk. So hi all, I'm Billy Davis. I'm on the Bullhorn customer success team. I lead our enterprise success for automation, AI, and talent platform. Do a lot of automation work. I was the first full-time Hairfish employee way back in the day. Been automating in staffing since 2016, and kind of love to try to disseminate my experience and kind of what I've learned to help others along their own automation journey. And then another fun fact, I had for about 18 months, I was in a product manager role for automation and AI. and I had the pleasure to have Erin as my product manager buddy. So we had a bunch of chats. She helped me kind of learn the ropes, and it was really cool to collaborate. So it feels awesome to be back and talking with such great company.
It was a pleasure to be your buddy. I'm happy to still consider you a buddy, just in a slightly less professional capacity.
Exactly. Very cool. So I know we have a lot of things that we want to kind of talk about, and obviously AI is a really exciting kind of buzzword in the industry and the greater world currently. I know the first thing just wanted to start out with was just talking about kind of maybe some examples, or kind of now that AI has become mainstream, how, we have seen it being used in kind of a day-to-day.
Yeah, I'll start and then Aaron, let you answer there. So I think for me, especially with ChatGPT and Bard coming out now, right? It's hit the mainstream, and those tools have been amazing. I use it for, summarizing longer documents, or, writing emails, help organize my thoughts, get, put it on paper super quickly, or even Google Sheets, Excel. And when we're building out business models, I can ask it to write some formulas for me and help save a bunch of time. Or on the coding side as well, I build out a lot of stuff with our development team. I'm not necessarily a developer, so I can ask it to help me, build out these JavaScript, lines that really help me accelerate what I'm doing and save hours and sometimes days of work going forward. So if you're not using it for simple things like that, I would highly recommend you start. It's free and it's amazing to do. So
Yeah, similarly, I feel like there's so often you'll sit down and generally what you're trying to get out, but you're trying to either make it sound more casual, or you're trying to make it sound a little bit more professional. Like you can get it in your own head, but you need to be able to summarize it. I'll just take notes sometimes from a call and plug them in there and ask, like, can you summarize these for me if I don't have any juice left at the end of the day? I think that's actually one of my favorite things about it. Being a neurodivergent person, there is a lot of benefit in being able to sometimes just say, this is what I mean. Can you make this like a linear thought? And it's been so super helpful. And then less professionally, I've also, when at a loss for something to read to my daughter, I've had it come up with a couple stories for her, like putting her and our dog as like superheroes and stuff like that in a story. And that's been really fun. She thinks it's hilarious to get to like be the center of the story.
That's really cool. Yeah, I've seen AI be used. I was like matching, like matching candidates to jobs is like a recruiting kind of industry, really important use case for AI. Another one that's kind of emerged is redoing job descriptions or job ads. So many times those are just kind of copy and pasted from old job descriptions and things. So using AI to help you kind of spice those up, make those better, kind of write in a different persona or voice, I've seen be kind of really helpful. And then, like AI just in general is a very exciting thing, because it can help you gain efficiency in a lot of different ways.
yeah, I think for those on the sales side or full desk, right? I mean, I think we've all been there where you get description from a hiring manager that is just awful and your recruiting team gets mad at you, right? So, getting those bullet points and then saying, hey, write a full job description, especially if you're going to be posting that publicly. You can ask it to remove the name of the company, right? If you want to keep that a secret, or you can ask it to remove bias in there as well. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use that from the job description. And also, again, especially if you have SEO with Google Jobs or any of the job boards, right? It really can help with that as well. So super simple way to start using it, and you should see benefits right away from it. So.
And I know that AI is always kind of taught similarly to automation. I think when it first started coming on the scene, and now AI is taken over as like the buzzword that means it's going to solve all your problems. Do we want to talk a little bit about really like what the crux of what it really is? Like, what is generative AI and what is it not? Billy, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll start and then I'll defer to the AI experts, from the Staffing Engine side. But like I've seen many things described as AI, but then when you kind of take a look behind the hood, it's really just kind of like if then branch pathing of, if someone responds with this keyword, then I want to do this. If someone wants to do that, answers in this way, I want to do something else. So that's really not AI, that's automation. So the AI front in my mind is when you're utilizing and creating something from a data set, from something kind of happening that you have access to, but it's doing that kind of machine learning, that thinking on its own, and kind of spitting out something that you're not kind of prescribing upfront, and it's kind of creating something different. And I know there's also a big push now with ChatGPT in this kind of generative form of AI, where you're giving it inputs and then you're getting outputs, and kind of so if you put in the right prompts, you're getting kind of certain outputs that you're looking for back from a creation standpoint.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think like Billy said, automation, and I'm going to use this very loosely, is dumb, right? You know, it's a very scripted thing, whereas AI, you actually put intelligence behind it, right? Artificial intelligence is right in the word there. I think a really good example of that is if you go to ChatGPT, like you said, and you give it a prompt, it will give you back anything you want. It's a huge data set that it's trained on, and it can be great for things we describe, but for your company, it's not great, right? Because it's not trained on your data yet. It's not available, right? So if you say, hey, you know, a candidate asked ChatGPT, how do I do my time cards for ABC staffing firm? It's going to have no idea, right? And so, like Billy said, you need that very large knowledge model, what we call it, on the back end to help train your data. And it can basically switch between contexts. Am I looking for a timesheet? Do I need to get my W-2? Do I need to do an employment verification, right? And it can seamlessly switch between those topics, and either, again, bring you back information that you need to do it, a link, a phone number, an email, or it can actually walk you through the process itself. So I think that is kind of what we're starting to see on the conversational side as well as the generative side. And Billy, to your point, job matching has been around for a while with like TextKernel and Daxtra, right? They've been kind of leading the way for many years now in that, but we're starting to see these new types of AI come to play here.
Absolutely. I think that also another thing that it is not, we talked about like using it as a starting point, a jumping off point for if you're trying to write a new job description, or you're trying to, you know, compose a cold email type of a thing. I think you can almost think of it as like spell check, that it truly is only as good as what you are what's been put into it, whether is it relevant to your company, or just in general, like the context of it. Spell check oftentimes will recommend that you change something that's absolutely correct given the context of what it's in. And so I think that it's a great jumping off point. And I think it's also really smart to make sure that if you are purchasing a product from from a vendor in AI, ask, where did the training data come from? Who trained it? Bias is another really great example. You can use it to remove bias. You also need to be mindful of the fact that if the training data is created by a population that is biased, which is all humans, it could be biased data as well. And so I was just reading a really interesting article, the CEO of Textio earlier today, and she was talking about like, where did that training input come from? Like, where did the data come from? And ask those questions of the vendors that you are that you're considering buying from, and get a good understanding of how they are training the data and what are they doing to remove bias in their knowledge models.
And just adding another point of talking about kind of what AI isn't. It's not a magic solution. And I know this is a soapbox that Aaron and I share passionately, where it's not a replacement for having a strong foundation in your data set, in your process, in your trainings. So, you know, technology is an amplifier. So you have to make sure what it's amplifying is in a good spot. So I think especially kind of the buzzwords of the industry or kind of the world, you know, oftentimes they're portrayed as a silver bullet magic solution, but really it goes back to these core fundamentals where you need to understand your process, the life cycles, you know, the different audiences that you're serving, and you have those in a good spot to really gain the best benefits for AI. And that also goes to play with automation as well.
Yeah, I think it's also important to say that AI isn't necessarily going to replace recruiters or people, right? Like you said, it helps make them better at their jobs, move faster. One of our first client, he has a great saying. He's like, AI won't replace you. And he's talking to his recruiters. AI won't replace you. Recruiters who know how to use AI will replace you, right? So it's definitely going to become a job skill that is going to be required in the next 1 to 5 years as we mature in this industry using AI technology and even automation technology at this point. So
absolutely, I think it's only a further incentive, I think, to focus on not to lean too heavily in Billy's corner, but to get your database cleaned up and like get your house in order, because if you do, it's so much more powerful being able to being able to draw insight from from that data, being able to do like better job matching. But it's still going to be important that you have the right information in the tool. And the idea, we've talked a little bit about how automation and AI can play in together. I would love to, if one of you guys wanted to share like a use case where you can combine automation, like having that strong like database set up. You've got a nice clean database and you've got clear process that you want to follow. How can you combine those two technologies to to improve your efficiency?
Well, you want me to take that?
Yeah, go first and I'll go after.
Sure. So, I think using this, for example, Bullhorn automation, right? You can make sure that your candidate profiles are up to date, that they have contact information, that they have their, communication preferences, their skill sets in their locations, right? And making sure that that foundation is there. And you use that as a trigger to say, hey, we have this type of role open, and Bullhorn automation will send that email out, and then you can layer artificial intelligence on there to talk to that person, pre-qualify them again, make sure you're updating any fields or skill sets in there, and then use it to route. And we'll learn, hey, I know that this person is owned by this person, I'm going to route it this way, or I'm going to send an email because they like emails versus sending it to Microsoft Teams. And again, that system can get smarter and smarter over time, so that as recruiters are looking at their candidate lists and their bucket of candidates, it's always going to be refreshed with people who are looking for positions and have all the information that they need, again, to accelerate that submission and that placement process significantly.
Yeah, and I love kind of the combination where automation is there to ensure that you're optimizing your data set at scale. Like if you have 10 candidates in your database, it's really easy to stay in contact and up to date. When that turns into 100,000 or 1 million, like it's impossible to do manually. So having the right automations in place to ensure you have those key data points in a good spot just unlocks an even greater opportunity and potential from AI. And then if you take it even further, from kind of the staffing engine perspective side of things, where they can customize the AI based off of the data set that you have, your secret sauce, the thing that's in your database, right? I think that's where it becomes a really powerful collaboration and combination, because then all of a sudden you're training your AI model with things that are only within your intellectual domain. And that's what you need to protect. And that's something you also don't want to just give out open source, right, to the rest of the industry, your competitors. And I know like that's something that we've seen in a few examples in the ChatGPT world, where somebody's copy and pasted, proprietary code in there to try to get recommendations and things. And we've seen some of kind of the horror stories of kind of worrying about some of those concerns from an information technology perspective.
For sure.
Do you have any questions real quick? Let's make sure.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep an eye on the chat as I could, but I know like something I've been asked a bunch is like what we think has been the impact of ChatGPT and kind of some of the AI, things that are happening more publicly, more widespread. Kind of what do we think the impact of that has been? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And I know people we're curious to hear our kind of thoughts on it.
I think it's it's a double-edged sword, like anything else. Like you have to be the people who are potentially going to be kind of like first to adopt are going to be the folks who really are going to need to ask the nuanced questions and really make sure that they understand who it is that they're working with, because it is as exciting as it sounds, but it also needs to be done by folks who are taking it very seriously and approaching the way. I think the impact is that it's created a lot of noise and a lot of opportunity. And I think then you need to be sure that you're not being bogged down by the amount of noise that there is out there. And I think really make sure that you're partnering with companies that are a partner in that and that have plans on growing in the right direction. I think it's been huge, but I do think that like we still need to make sure that we're honing these use cases, make sure that the idea of ChatGPT, the reason they're kind of more general suggestions that we have is because it's very general. It's there, like you said, the knowledge model isn't built on only on staffing industry related topics. It's not just related to just one individual company. So I think that the impact has been huge, and I think positive. It has the potential for plenty of kind of noise, and making sure that you're really being intentional about it is going to be crucial.
Yeah, I think just with ChatGPT coming out, it's it's really helped everybody cross that chasm. If you're familiar with the adoption curve there, and it has accelerated that. I think without it, it would have taken 2 or 3 more years for people to really get there. But we are solidly in that early majority now, and I think it's a good thing from a business standpoint, right? I think you can just see how many hours have been saved, how many days have been saved, how much more productive people are, right? But just like anything, like Aaron said, with automated text messaging and automated calling, right? We've seen what happens with robocalls and robotexts. Like, so there's going to be things that are bad about it that are going to come out for sure. But I think the positives will outweigh the negatives in the end, especially when you're looking at it, how it can affect your business.
Yeah, I'm excited about kind of that speed and that because that chasm can be really painful to cross,
Right. Yeah.
especially when you're on the product side trying to guide the market and kind of get them there. So I really was excited to see the excitement, people coming to us asking like, what are you thinking about AI now, and like what are your AI offerings, those types of things. And then with that there is kind of the downside of all of a sudden there's hundreds or maybe even thousands of now newly appointed AI experts, right, that are kind of trying to ride that wave for a variety of reasons on their end. So I think something, especially on the staffing and recruiting side of things, I would just kind of caution kind of who you're trusting, especially in kind of the AI space. And I would lean towards people that have established credibility in the staffing and recruiting industry, know it well, and have been doing kind of the AI things for a bit. One thing on AI specifically is, humans have a really difficult time understanding exponential growth. It doesn't compute with our brains. And I'll even admit, as a half robot, I still struggle with it. Like, so you think like, oh, like we see where AI is now, and then forecasting where it will be in a year, and then 3 years and 5 years. Our minds think very linearly as far as growth goes. But if it's exponential, like we could be looking at such a different world. So I'm curious to hear either of your opinions on kind of what you foresee for kind of the future of AI and staffing and recruiting, even as we try to shake that crystal ball of maybe 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the line.
Yeah. For me, just like you said, how fast these models are progressing. I don't know if anyone on this call remembers like the original chat or GPT-3 that came out, and then 3.5 and 4, and just the differences between those models, how vast they were. I do see, in probably 2 to 3, maybe 4 years, where you have a virtual interviewer doing most of the pre-screening up front, making it seem more human, because these language models are going to get so advanced, and the graphical capabilities are going to get so advanced. If you look at companies like Midjourney and a few other of the video ones, it's pretty insane. Not that being said, it won't replace recruiters, right? Because you want to have those human conversations, but you can get a lot of the moats calls, we used to call it, out of the way, either in a chat or chat box, or through that kind of like Zoom virtual interview pretty quickly. And then you can again get them to a person, because again, looking for a job is a human activity, and you want to talk to a human for that, right? The second one I see is just the capabilities of machines talking to each other, right? Everything is so API driven today, and you need to code everything. I think with these models, they're going to be able to turn a lot of natural language into APIs capabilities where they can talk, and it's just going to change the way that we fundamentally interact with technology that we work with every day. Talking to your database, hey Bullhorn, do this for me, and it does it, right? Or hey Salesforce. So I think that's probably sooner rather than later. But those are the 2 things that I'm thinking about in the next few years here.
As the resident product person, I'm not going to project a date for when I think this might happen.
On the long-term roadmap, right? Yeah.
On the long-term roadmap.
Yeah.
No, I am so excited about the prospect of unstructured data actually being usable, because I don't think like we can do everything in the world imaginable to try to automate getting data. from somewhere else, from a conversation into a field so that it's searchable. But the ability to really like work on unstructured data, being able to intelligently pull information out of notes that a recruiter has been taking about a conversation, and being able to pull those out and extract information from them without them having to necessarily be all mapped to individual fields is going to be like life changing. I think we've accepted the fact that like we're not going to change how people work and think in a lot of ways, and recruiters and salespeople will, I think, benefit from maybe not needing to put all of those like skill sets like logged in a field and things like that. I think it's going to make a really big difference. I'm excited about it. Virtual assistants for every recruiter. Ted has it right on the money.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Kind of what I foresee, and I think this will happen, but I'll see if my prediction is right or not. I think it's going to actually increase the demand for expertise, because finding like the answer, almost like a Google search of what the answer should be, is going to be almost instantaneous and be really easy. So then, like, to go above that and kind of the expertise side, where you're kind of leveraging based off of unique experience, kind of what someone's seen, kind of like the consulting type, partnership, building those relationships, I think it's actually going to be in more demand than ever, because it's going to be so easy to answer kind of transactional information that you can find from anywhere. Like once that data gets collated and is accessible, will be, an AI will be able to spit that out really, really quickly. And then the other thing is, I think it's also going to increase a demand for personalization and personalized touch points at certain key stages, because like when AI is going to get to a point where it's going to be able to do things, like the transactional, even some of the lower level relationship building things better than what humans can do today. Just, some of the personalization, the kind of the low level things. But then if that occurs, there's going to be more demand, because it's going to be kind of a vacuum, and people are going to demand still want to have some of that personal connection, personal touch. So those are kind of the two elements that I think may ring true, if I had to kind of shake a crystal ball about what I see for the future of AI.
Yeah, that's a really
I'm
good
really
point.
hopeful that it'll help. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, the one goal of anybody who's working in AI is, let's call that better than human experience, right? Did you leave that candidate or that client with a better experience than it would have had with a human, whether it's on the website or just a text conversation, right? Did it get that information to them faster? Did it schedule faster, right? And again, humans are only capable of so much, whereas these machines can move at milliseconds, right? So I think that's anybody who's in AI, if they're not talking about trying to create that better than human experience, you should definitely be wary of that.
I'm super excited about the opportunity for it to also help people become, maybe not an expert necessarily, but become more well-versed and more confident about what they're speaking about. I think anybody who ever started out, especially like in technical staffing, I had a lot of conversations with a lot of Java developers when I had no idea what I was doing. I placed a BizTalk developer, still not 100% sure what he does. But to get good at actually understanding the questions that you're asking, being able to actually maybe even like write up some interview questions to help prep your candidate, being able to do things like that helps you get to a level of expertise and confidence so much faster, so that you can help them with the emotions. Like the real part of recruiting, we all know, is really about mitigating emotions, like helping them understand what's the next step, helping them prep for things, what they need to do to come back to you. All of those things are things we can't expect machines to ever be able to do. And so getting a level of confidence to be able to get you to that point, I think is going to be crucial.
Yeah, that's great.
Love that. Cool. So I know we have a couple minutes remaining, and Engage is coming up at the end of the month, and thanks everyone for putting their comments and questions as we've gone along here. It's been great to see that interaction. There are any additional questions or follow-up, and speak for all three of us, would be happy to answer and help anyone along your automation or AI journey. But also just wanted to kind of share, obviously Engage is coming up, and if there's anything around AI or automation that you guys are excited about from a panel or session perspective.
I think this is a little biased, right? But Lauren Jones, LJ's session Wednesday at 1:30 around building kind of the ultimate tech stack, right? I think that's going to be huge. They're changing up the format a little bit. Anybody who's been to Engage has seen that speed pitch session. It's going to be the same, but then right after, there's going to be some roundtable sessions to come and talk about, the companies, what you heard about, trends, etc. So, I think we'll be in there. We'll definitely be talking about AI and automation and how, they can work super well together. And then Billy, I know you have one on the power of automation relationship building. I'm looking forward to that one too. I think, again, it's more important than ever today, like, to understand that automating stuff doesn't mean you're making it less human. It means that you're talking to more people and can have more conversations and actually create a more personalized, messaging and talk points to your candidates and clients versus the old school days of pounding the phones and just writing emails. So.
Awesome. And we threw up a QR code for you as well as the URL, if you're interested in finding out more information about Engage. I won't plug my own breakout session, even though I'm really excited about it. And I think it's going to be really great. Just being involved with a lot of the other content and breakout sessions, I'm really excited. And of course, my favorite part about Engage is meeting, clients, colleagues, and partners in person. So really looking forward to that for basically that whole week of, end of May, early June. And I think something else I'm really excited about is, if you'll notice a theme as you start looking at the breakout sessions, so many of them are partnering with specific clients that are seeing great results. So it's not only kind of a product and bullhorn side of things of here's what you should do, but then there's actually real examples of that best practice in place. And then, clients that you can meet and talk with, maybe in your industry or, that you want to find out more about, to pick their brain so you can increase your own optimization in your journey.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of the talk about AI can be very generalized because we were having generalized conversations. Like, if you have specific use cases, like specific problems that you're trying to solve, we will absolutely be there and happy to have conversations about tools that we've used. I think LJ, maybe has used every AI tool geared at all towards the staffing industry. So I know she's definitely got lots of opinions. But I think that there's a lot of unique use cases specific for the staffing industry. So if you have something you're trying to solve, like come find one of us and let's chat.
Yeah, that's how we're building our latest product. Customer came to us with a problem and we are helping them solve it. So, we'd love to hear more of that at the show.
You'll get to see what we are doing at Staffing Engine with
Sure.
with ChatGPT there.
Yeah,
Pretty excited about it.
We'll have a booth, so make sure you stop by if you have time.
It's really cool. I've seen a sneak peek. I'm excited to even dive in deeper. So thanks so much, everybody, for enjoying this. It flew by in a breeze, as I knew that it would. I think I could talk with Jay and Aaron for a long time and it'd be super easy. But he said, if there's anyone who has kind of follow-up questions or anything else that we can help with, let us know. We're really interested, obviously, in seeing what automation and AI will be for the industry and helping kind of guide it to a good spot.
It was great talking to everybody. Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Billy.
And the recording will be available, so we'll get that posted. I know a lot of people have asked about that. We'll make sure we follow up with everyone who couldn't make it live, but still wanted to check out what we were talking about today.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.